Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into some interesting material. It's all about learning, right? And why sometimes what you learn in, say, a course or from a book just stays there.
Yeah, it doesn't quite make it into the real world when you actually need it.
Exactly. So our mission today is to kind of unpack that, look at why academic success doesn't always mean real-world competence, and find some shortcuts maybe to bridge that gap.
That gap is definitely real. It's the focus of this research we looked at, trying to figure out why getting good grades or, memorizing a ton of information doesn't automatically mean you can use that information effectively.
Right.
So this deep dive is really for anyone who needs to learn complex things quickly and wants to make sure that knowledge is ready to go, practical.
Okay, so let's dive in. The sources you brought talk about something called academic blindness. That sounds pretty serious. What exactly is it?
It's a really good term for it, actually. Academic blindness isn't about not being smart enough to learn. It's more about a failure of context. It's when you see knowledge only as something to memorize, maybe for a test or a presentation, but it feels totally separate from your actual life. The information's sort of locked away in a box, unavailable when a real problem comes up.
I think I know what you mean. And there's actual data on this, right? You mentioned a study.
Yes, a really striking one. The sources point to a 2021 study from the Stanford Graduate School of Education.
And what did they find?
Well, this is the kicker. They found that a huge majority, 70% of primary school children, couldn't explain how their lessons, math or science stuff they were learning right then, actually connect to the world around them.
70%? Wow.
Yeah, 70%. It means most kids basically see school as this abstract thing they have to do, not as learning tools for life.
That is staggering.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, honestly, how many of us adults still have a bit of that blindness. Maybe you learn a new software feature, ace the tutorial, but then when you need to actually use it in a project, you just freeze up. The knowledge feels theoretical, not practical.
That's a perfect example. And the symptoms of this academic blindness, they show up in really specific ways.
Like the examples from the sources. I remember one about Archimedes' principle.
Right. The child can explain buoyancy perfectly, maybe recite the definition.
Yeah.
But then they're in the bath playing with a little toy boat, and there's no conscious link made. This is why it floats. School knowledge here, bath time fun over there.
Yeah.
Two separate worlds.
Or the compound interest example, knowing the formula.
Exactly. Knowing the formula by heart, but then being unable to figure out the small profit they'd make by saving pocket money for a few months.
It really highlights that difference between just knowing something and being competent with it.
Precisely. And it's not about intelligence, right? It's more about how the information was taught or learned.
Yeah.
Did we help the brain actually see the knowledge in action? That's the key.
Okay, so it's a problem, a big one. But the good news is the sources offer solutions.
Yes, definitely. They don't just point out the problem. They give us a toolkit, basically.
Right.
7 concrete strategies to help close that gap. Make knowledge active, useful, no matter your age.
All right, let's get into them. The first 2 seem grouped together, focusing on physical connection and context.
That's right. Strategy 1 is obviously, start close to home.
Meaning,
the best learning happens when the material actually touches the learner's own world, their immediate environment.
yeah.
Learning isn't just sitting at a desk. It's about understanding the world right here.
Makes sense. Got an example?
Sure. So if you're learning about gravity, don't just read Newton's laws. Get up, drop a few things, different weights maybe, see how they fall.
Okay, make it real.
Yeah. Or if it's area formulas in geometry, don't just do the math problems. Try estimating, how much fabric you'd need to cover your actual table. Or pace out a room to estimate square footage. Make the theory something you can touch and feel.
I like that. It connects directly to strategy 2 then, which is about using everyday questions as bridges. The ask-back method.
Exactly, the Tanya Balak or ask-back method. The idea is, don't just jump in with a neat scientific answer right away.
Why not? Isn't that helpful?
It can be, but the goal here is to help the learner build the logical links themselves, internal connections, not just taking in external facts. So if a kid asks, why does it rain?
Instead of the water cycle lecture.
Right. You ask back, have you ever watched water disappear from a boiling kettle? Where do you think that steam goes? Or, those clouds are way up high, right? What could make the water fall down? Guide them to piece it together.
I can see how that would work for adults too, like troubleshooting a problem at work.
Absolutely. Instead of just saying, oh, the server crashed because of X, you ask, okay, what was happening right before it went down? What's the system usually do in that situation? You're guiding their thinking process.
Like the shadow example from the
Yeah,
sources.
yeah, that's a great physical one. Someone asks why their shadow follows them. Don't just explain like, go outside.
Walk around.
See what happens. You move, it moves. You stop, it stops. You see the effect blocking the sun before you get the technical explanation of light waves. It builds intuition first.
Okay, so we've anchored the knowledge physically. What's next? The source and talk about a daily life laboratory. Strategies 3 and 4.
Yep. Strategy 3 is basically turn daily activities into a mini lab. If you want knowledge to stick and be usable, you have to see it in action, like all the time.
So everyday routines become learning opportunities.
Exactly. Think about cooking. It's not just making dinner, it's chemistry, right?
Yeah.
Things changing state, heat transfer, reactions.
Or even just managing your household budget. That's math, forecasting.
For sure. And strategy 4 builds on that. It's about connecting knowledge to values and life decisions. This is maybe deeper. It shows that knowledge isn't just facts. It's a tool for making smarter, wiser choices.
Okay, but how do you do that without making every simple lesson feel heavy? Like you're learning basic electricity, do you immediately have to talk climate change?
That's a fair point. The sources suggest framing it less as a big debate and more about immediate relevance.
Ah, okay.
So, learning about electricity. The immediate connection is understanding your bill, maybe thinking about why leaving lights on costs money or uses resources. It's practical. Or gardening, you learn botany, sure, but you also learn responsibility, caring for something.
So you link the what the facts to the so what, the value or the action.
You got it. It shifts from what is this to what do I do with this knowledge?
Powerful. Okay, that leads us to the third theme, mastering through sharing and interest. Strategies 5 and 6. This sounds more social.
It definitely involves interaction and motivation. Strategy 5 is huge. The power of teaching back.
The old saying, to teach is to learn twice.
Pretty much. Research backs it up consistently.
Yeah.
The best way to truly grasp something is to explain it to someone else. It forces you to move beyond just, reacting to questions. You have to explore it yourself to explain it.
Because you have to organize it, find the right words, anticipate confusion.
Exactly. It demands synthesis, retrieval, structure, all the things that lock learning in. For professionals, maybe you learn a new process. Don't just read the guide. Try explaining it to a colleague.
Right. That forces you to find the holes in your own understanding pretty quickly.
Totally. For kids, the sources suggest having them explain something like how a caterpillar becomes a butterfly to, say, a stuffed animal or a puppet. It makes them simplify and structure the whole sequence.
Okay, and strategy 6, linking to hobbies.
Link knowledge to hobbies and interests. This one's about making it personal. If the learning connects to something you already care about, your brain pays more attention, remembers better, and sees the application faster.
So if someone loves drawing,
Show them how geometry helps with perspective or balance in their art. If they're into coding, connect the abstract logic lessons to building a tiny bit of a game they like.
or the dancer example, physics.
Yeah, I love that one too. Ask a dancer learning physics, why don't you fall over when you do that amazing spin? They know it's balance, but connecting that feeling to the physics concept of center of gravity.
Suddenly, physics isn't just homework.
It's their superpower, which really sets up the final crucial theme, reflection and metacognition.
Strategy 7. This sounds important. Build a habit of reflection. Metacognition. Thinking about thinking.
Exactly. This is the capstone, really. It's about intentionally looking back on what you learned and how you learned it. This is what takes knowledge from being a temporary factoid to a tool you can actually pull out and use later.
Why is this step so critical? Can't the other 6 do the job?
They help a lot, but without reflection, the learning can still fade or stay compartmentalized. Metacognition is like consciously tagging the information in your brain. Hey, this is useful. Remember this for situation X, Y, or Z. You're mapping it to future use.
Okay, so how do we do that? Are there specific techniques?
The sources give 3 really simple but powerful reflection questions to ask right after any learning activity.
Let's hear them.
Okay. 1, what can you use from this lesson in your life, like right now? 2, what's one new thing you learned today that maybe surprised you? And 3, when do you think you might use this knowledge again?
Those seem straightforward, but effective.
Very. By asking those future-focused questions, you're telling your brain to build pathways for application. You're reinforcing not just the fact, but the utility of the fact. So when that situation comes up later, whether it's a budget meeting or just wondering why your shadow looks funny, The knowledge is there, ready to use.
So pulling it all together, this whole approach is about shifting learning away from just passing tests.
Way beyond that. It's about seeing how science, math, history, whatever it is, actually works in the world, connecting the dots between the theory and the reality constantly.
Making knowledge feel less like something alien you only find in school or a textbook.
And more like a fundamental tool you use every single day in every part of your life.
Right, it becomes part of how you operate.
Precisely. And that leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. If that study is right, and 70% of young kids struggle to connect lessons to life, what percentage of adults, even really educated ones, do you think are still dealing with some form of this academic blindness when they encounter new complex information?
That's a provocative question.
And maybe more importantly, how could using these same 7 strategies, especially that last one, reflection, help you truly master the next challenging thing you need to learn? Maybe even starting tomorrow?